This is Our News, the weekend edition, and on the broadcast tonight. On the issue of the death penalty, where does government stand? Ahead tonight, the Attorney General states government's position on whether to eliminate that practice. Plus, hear the views of some members of the public over the recent spree of child kidnappings here in the capital. And thousands of dollars in scholarships handed out to Bahamian students at the HBCU College Fair.
Our News is brought to you by Alive.
Good evening, I'm Andrew Knowles, and thanks so much for joining us. Topping news tonight. Despite recent international pressure to eliminate the death penalty, the Attorney General says there are no plans to abolish the state-sanctioned executions. Carl Bethel says the hot-button topic is an instance where the Bahamas will not bow to international pressures. Our Jasmine Brown leads us off tonight with that story.
The death penalty remains a part of Bahamian law, and as the nation's chief law officer, responsible primarily for the enforcement of all Bahamian laws, I can say affirmatively that the Bahamas' position on the death penalty has not changed and is not likely to change anytime soon.
The AG's comments comes months after a record 120 nations adopted the United Nations death penalty moratorium on December 17th. As a result, the United Nations General Assembly called for a worldwide moratorium on the death penalty. The moratorium, which was co-sponsored by 83 countries, marked the 7th time since 2007 that the global body has formally called for an end to executions. The resolution expressed a deep concern over the use of the death penalty and urged the countries that continue to carry it out to ensure that death penalty sentences are not the product of discriminatory or arbitrary laws. But Bethel was not impressed by the numbers.
The United Nations and its various organs call for many things that either for reasons of policy or culture, the Bahamas has not acceded to.
Despite the AG's comments, it has been nearly 20 years since the death penalty was carried out in the Bahamas. David Mitchell was the last person to be hanged. On January 6, 2000, he was put to death for murdering a German tourist couple. The mandatory imposition of the death penalty was abolished in 2006 after the Privy Council ruled it was unconstitutional. Bethel did not comment on the likelihood of the death penalty ever being carried out again, but he did insist the country has not acceded to any international conventions preventing it.
The Bahamas, for reasons peculiar to the Bahamas, has not signed on to any convention requiring us to eliminate the death penalty.
Over the years, successive governments have promised to take an in-depth look at the death penalty. While in opposition in 2016, Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis promised that if he was elected, he would hold a referendum on capital punishment as soon as possible. However, nearly 2 years into office, that is yet to happen. However, the PM has not been shy about his support of the death penalty, saying last July that he had no issue with hanging a convicted murderer and moving on. Reporting for Our News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
All right, thanks a lot, Jasmine. From the crime beat, police are investigating a domestic dispute in which 4 people were shot in the wee hours of the morning. Police say a male had an altercation with his girlfriend around 4 a.m. Sunday at a home on Calpin Road. The man reportedly shot his girlfriend and 3 others who were in the house at the time. Now all 4 victims were transported to hospital where at last report they were detained in serious but stable condition. Police say their investigation in this matter is advancing as they are following significant leads. Well, as reported yesterday, police believe the recent string of child abductions here in the capital are connected. And as the hunt for the woman responsible for several of these kidnappings continue, members of the public are reacting strongly to the recent spate. Our Jared Higgs tells us more.
I think the parents should take more better consider with the kids.
As police investigate several kidnappings of young children, members of the public gave Our News their reactions to the shocking crimes.
When you think about the situation, it is sad. you know, you have to say it's very sad. And we think of the world that we're living in today, you know, there's so much suffering. And the Bible talks about, you know, these things happening. Men will go from bad to worse.
On February 16th, 3-year-old Shavar Bain was kidnapped while riding a bicycle in the South Beach area. He was dropped off unharmed at a wash house on Joe Farrington Road several hours later. On March 3rd, an 8-year-old girl was taken from a home off Wilton Street at 2 a.m., reportedly by a man. She was found soon after on Soldier Road. On March 6th, 8-year-old Tyvon DeVoe was allegedly abducted by a woman while playing on a basketball court near his Emmanuel Drive home. He was dropped off by the city dump shortly after being taken. A similar situation unfolded a day later when 8-year-old Jaquito Sejor was abducted after he and 2 of his friends accepted a ride home from a woman. The woman allowed Jaquito's friends to get out the car, but made off with him in the vehicle, dropping him off at the city dump shortly after. After 3-year-old Shavar Bain's disappearance, police released this composite sketch of the woman believed to be responsible. Meanwhile, this sketch was released on Thursday in relation to Tyvon DeVoe's kidnapping.
But I heard of the kidnapping that happened Culmersville, where they took the little girl. And I feel like parents today, they should not allow their children to answer the door, most especially that time of the morning.
It's a sad day in our country to know that we have this type of social disconnect and this really act of deviance on the other part. We were always a tight-knit Christian nation where the village was the place to be because the village grew the child and we all cared one for the other. Apparently there are some cracks in that.
Well, you got to be very careful with your children these days. Pick them up from school. Can't have them hanging around school too long because you don't know what kind of world we're living in. This is a cold world we're living in. People evil, watching too much TV. That's number one. So just got to be careful with your children and make sure pick them up from school and take them in, look out for them all.
Anybody with information on these latest kidnappings are asked to contact Crime Stoppers at 328-TIPS or the Central Detective Unit at 502-9991 or 2. Police are also urging parents and guardians to talk to their children about communicating with strangers and to ensure that children are in the company of a responsible adult at all times. Reporting for Our News Weekend, I'm Jared Higgs.
All right, thanks, Jared. Well, as the party gears up to hold another module section for aspiring candidates, Progressive Liberal Party leader Philip Davis insists this is not the same PLP that was kicked out of office in 2017. The party suffered a crushing loss in that election, only securing 4 out of 39 seats in Parliament. Davis says he believes the party has shaken any stigma attached to it.
I think we have done so. I think we are on the way to reshaping, retooling, and lifting up the brand of the Progressive Party as we are known to be.
In the months leading up to the last election, the Christie administration battles scandal after scandal. The PLP has already begun its search for candidates to contest seats in the 2022 general election. Davis said, looking at the job the Minnis administration is doing, he is certain Bahamians will want the Free National Movement gone by then.
I think I'm satisfied that the majority of Bahamian people still believe in the PLP brand. And I'm satisfied that the majority of Bahamian people still believe that we are the party for the people.
Well, a month after it was pushed back due to international stakeholders, the Bahamas' negotiating team to the WTO now has a new date for a meeting in Switzerland. Our Kyle Joaquin has the story.
After being put off due to the U.S. government shutdown that ended late January, the Bahamas' negotiating team will head off next month to discuss its accession to the World Trade Organization.
The next meeting is the first week in April.
So we have a date now.
That's what we are looking at if nothing else changes.
Over the past few months, the negotiating team has been in consultation with the Bahamas Chamber of Commerce and other industry insiders with the aim of hearing concerns about the country attaining WTO status. Now, Lang says it's time to head back to the WTO to share those concerns.
Yeah, that's just, you have another working party meeting, and so that's where you get to submit or rather discuss with the members of the WTO any updates, any revisions to your offer. and they then get to have any response to that. Right. So it's a part of the continuing dialogue and negotiations.
Now, there have been mixed reviews on the possibility of the Bahamas joining the WTO. There are those in agriculture and in the wholesale industry concerned about the possibility of foreign competition.
You know, the Bahamas, in terms of the World Trade Organization, the fundamental issue has always been the same. Are you going to open up any sectors of the economy now reserved for Bahamians? That's really a big issue, whether there's going to be competition in that regard and so forth. So that's always the central issue. And we are very mindful, very sensitive to that, and we have a very keenly listening ear to the sectors in that regard.
Lang insists this is only the negotiation phase, and just as Bahamians have their concerns, WTO officials have concerns as well.
That's the whole point of the negotiations, is you negotiate terms of entry that are doable and manageable for your economy. Right. And acceptable to the WTO. So there's no automatic opening up of any sector, industry at all. And any movement you see in that regard, any movement, will have been discussed and agreed with the sectors of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
For Our News, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
All right, thanks, Kyle. Well, we all know how expensive attending college abroad can be, but for several deserving Bahamian students, well, they won't have to worry about that debt as they'll head off to university this fall on full scholarships. The presidents of 5 historically black colleges and universities, or HBCUs, were in town this weekend looking to attract Bahamian students to attend their respective institutions of higher learning. Recent graduate Andrea McIntosh and 12th grade student at Temple Christian, Tradisia Duncombe, were among several students awarded full scholarships on the spot to attend Harris Stowe State University and Virginia Union University.
Yes, it's very surreal right now because I've worked so hard. I was going to school and plus working at the same time. I'm still currently employed at Blue Postal. That's where I'm at right now, and to get this opportunity is it's really, really, really great. And I just want to thank God because He is the head of my life, and He should be the head of anyone's life. Once you put God first, anything can happen.
To me, it still hasn't sunk in as yet, but it's unbelievable. Like, it's still playing on my mind. But I'm happy getting this opportunity to go to take up business administration and minor in international businesses. Is a big opportunity, and I'm currently thinking about coming back and empowering my community in the business field. So this scholarship will be.
During Saturday's sessions, 9 students were accepted to Harris Stowe State University, with 3 receiving full ride scholarships. The university's president, Dr. Dewan Warmack, says he's been impressed with the academic credentials of some students and the just sheer determination of others.
I see those students have a strong commitment to their education. They have a level of passion and a level, especially one young lady, she had this grit about herself. She wants to do something special, and sometimes we just need the right opportunity, and I'm in a position, in a place to provide that access and that opportunity for her. So sometimes it's not about the GPA, it's not about the test score. The young lady that just received the scholarship didn't meet those thresholds, but she was able to show me and articulate to me why she thought education was important, and I think my institution is a good fit for her to be able to do that.
There are currently no Bahamians attending Harris Stowe State University. However, after this weekend, Dr. Warmack is confident that that will change. In fact, he intends to send more recruiters from his university to the Bahamas so that Harris Stowe remains top of mind for Bahamian students when considering university.
Harris Stowe State University is located in St. Louis, Missouri. We're the fastest growing public institution in the state of Missouri. In the past 4 years, our enrollment is up 34%. We're the top degree producer for African Americans in mathematics and applied statistics. We're the top degree producer of African Americans in the state of Missouri. Number 1 of graduating African Americans in teacher education preparation programs. We rank number 40th in the nation of graduating teachers. But criminal justice is our largest degree program. Business administration and finance is our second largest degree program. So if a student is looking for affordable, accessible, transformational education experience, come on to Harris Stowe State University and be transformed forever.
The HBCU College Fair was hosted by the local chapters of both Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity and Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority. Up next here tonight, the Police Staff Association advocating for salaries. The details of that story and more when Our News, the Weekend Edition, returns.